Welcome to the woods. It's a typical English summer's day. It's raining, and it has been all morning, which is great if you're trying to grow things. Not so good if you fancied a day in your sun lounger. But we take the rough with the smooth. And I've been busy all morning. We've been moving chickens around, getting some of the younger ones into pens. Been to the local farm shop, picked up some feed, picked up a chainsaw. So it's been a productive morning. And at the end of this video, I'll leave you with some good news. A bit like TV used to be, where at the end they'd have that "and finally." So there's some good news coming up. But before we get to the good news, I want to ask a question. Has anyone noticed that the world seems to be going mad? Like completely bonkers. And I get that we know that. We can see some of the things that are happening, and it's all upside down. But the majority of people don't really see it at all. And I was discussing with someone the other day, someone who came up for a visit, and we sat down, we had a coffee, and we do what people do. We put the world to rights over a cup of coffee. And I said, there's a very thin veneer of normality that covers all of the absolute insanity that is bubbling away underneath. All of those things that you and me recognise and look into further. Things like the 20-minute neighbourhoods, the £8 million a day being spent housing illegal immigrants in hotels, the surveillance network that's being implemented throughout the country in small towns, small villages. We discuss this, we look into this, go down those rabbit holes, pop up and go down another one. But people in the wider community, those people you see walking around town, living their life, haven't taken a blue pill. They're choosing not to scratch at that veneer. You see, I don't believe that they don't know what's going on. I don't believe that they don't see it. It's simply that it's such a terrifying scenario to a lot of people to understand that your government and all the structures you had faith in dislike you, that they may wish you harm, that the policies they're putting in place are done with malice, not stupidity. That's a huge hurdle for a lot of people to get over. And therefore they choose not to scratch at that veneer, not to look below. Because to do so would mean the end of normality. And many of you watching this would have at some point wanted to take a blue pill, would have wished that you'd never seen, that you'd never opened your eyes and your ears to what's really happening around you. And it is crazy. Crazy situations where you're told two conflicting ideas and expected to believe both of them. And this was highlighted last week with Lord William Hague, ex-Conservative, not Prime Minister, but he was a leader of the Conservative Party, who came out and said that even the right wing understands that we not only need migration, but that there's going to be a lot more of it in the future. And I read that piece and that statement, and then you look at the figures in this country that's historically and today say that most people think there's too much migration, too much immigration into this country, that the infrastructure can't stand it, and that it's actually unwanted by the majority of people. Which leads us to the conclusion that we're not living in a democracy. It's nothing to do with what you want, or even what the majority wants. It's about knowing your place and understanding that you will have foisted upon you anything that those above wish to foist it upon you. We've seen that dramatically 3 years ago, to such an extent that a lot of people became aware of this craziness that's infecting every sector of our lives. And that immigration thing, those 2 points that we're meant to believe at the same time, is that this country needs thousands upon thousands, if not millions, of additional people to do jobs. And on the other hand, we're expected to believe that the fourth industrial revolution, that technology, automation, artificial intelligence, is going to massively decrease the amount of jobs available. We're also told to believe that there's a huge problem with the environment caused by mass consumerism, but at the same time it's correct to take somebody from a continent, let's say Africa, and place them in a continent, let's say Europe, where their consumption will rise by around 80%, thus exacerbating the problem they tell you they're trying to cure. Everything is insane. And how do we push back? How do we get out of that situation? Well, most people will know that I'm not a great believer in the political route. I don't think there's a political answer at the moment for my country. I don't think there's a political party that offers any opposition to globalism and all of that myriad of insanities. So if we can't use a political route, we need to look for an alternative. And I'm seeing that more and more every week. Groups of people coming together, forming communities with ideas. I've met with some of these people over the last few weeks. I've met people from Cornwall, and people from Wales, and people from Yorkshire, people from London, from all over the length and breadth of this country. All looking for an alternative way out of the insanity and back to a normal, natural way of living. And many of you will know, I hope all of you will know, but if there's a few that don't, you're about to be told, that 4 weeks ago I started a new initiative. And I started this Woodlander initiative because of the insanity. As an alternative, it's land-based, because at the end of the day, all of our needs, all of our requirements stem from the land. If we were to start again, which I'm not advocating for, we don't need to throw away everything we've done, all our great inventions, all of that wisdom that's gone before. But if we were to start again, we would need food, which comes from the land, shelter, which can be built upon the land, water. With those three things, our bare necessities are met. And for all of them, we need land. This is our land. And many of the problems have sprung from people forgetting that. People forgetting that this is their land, that it's their country, that those people in power are your servants and should be doing what you want. Now, over the last few years, they've well and truly let the mask slip. They're not your servants. The system has created a self-sustaining elite system that looks after a very few and uses the majority for its own ends. So that initiative that I started in the last 4 weeks has grown faster than anyone thought it was going to grow, with well over 500 members and raising in excess of £60,000 in its first 4 weeks. Now, the goal was to have 1,000 members in a year, and for those 1,000 members to be able somehow to put in £1,000, and some could do it all at once, and some would do it in bits and pieces, and some would do it at £20 a week. But that would give us £1 million, which would be a good start to start buying back our own land and being able to use that land initially for recreation, for growing food, for meeting, and would give us an organisation that within a few years is a multi-million pound organisation that would be backing us, that would be on our side. We would, to all intents and purposes, be building our own systems, to be building our own structures. I've had people contact me about alternative currencies and finance. I've had people contact me about homeschooling and how we could extrapolate that out to maybe our own schools, maybe our own banking systems. Run by us, for us. And all of these very large ideas all start with where it should always start, with our land. And I'm incredibly impressed with the people that have joined already. I've met quite a few of you now. Everyone's on the same page. Sorry about this, the cat's come to say hello again. Hello, mate. Everyone's on the same page. We all understand the problems and the insanity, and that's probably not going to end, and that instead of just sitting down, instead of doing what the British are very good at, which is moaning about the situation, that actually we should be looking at solutions, at ways we can improve both our personal life and those for our community. And that's happening. All of those things I mentioned, the discussions are already being had. They're ongoing. All of these other groups that are cropping up, we're all in discussion. And there's differences along the way. And I think I said in my last video that it's important that we understand that we're not all the same. We're a broad church in this country. There's many a difference between a Cornishman and a Scots. But when we come right down to it, we all want the same thing. We all want a life worth living. We all want a future for our children and our grandchildren. And we understand that a lot of the policies and a lot of the ideas being talked about by the people that govern us, and the people that govern them, are actually detrimental to our well-being. They're not natural at all. There's a lot of talk in this country at the moment about a new film out, The Sound of Freedom, which focuses on child and human trafficking. And it's a huge problem. In the UK, the Rotherham grooming gang scandal is still very fresh in a lot of our minds. And it's right that these things are highlighted. And it's right that these perpetrators, these evil people, are hounded. There's no excuse. And it's leaked into our fabric of society, where high-ranking politicians, well-respected celebrities, all seem to be tainted in one shape or form. That alternative looks better all the time. And the good news is, we're building it. You and me, your ideas, and us coming together are building that alternative. In a few weeks' time, I'm going to have some big news. The next big step. But for now, for those of you who have joined, regardless of those small technical problems, congratulate yourself on being that first few, because from here on, this grows. This grows. This idea is the thing that will offer the people hope. Because as much as they don't want to scratch at that veneer to see the insanity below, lots of them are. Bit by bit, people are looking for some hope, for a better way. We're offering it. So get talking to your friends. Point out some of the insanity and tell them that it's no good just noticing and moaning. But if there's an opportunity to do something, to actually do it. I'll leave it there, you lot. Well done. 1 month. In 1 month, we're well ahead of target. I'll speak to you soon. The link for the initiative is in the description. Leave a comment. Hit the like button. It does help the channel. Spread it around. Share the video. And I'll speak to you soon. See ya.